Good morning, Twitch TV, and welcome to our Wednesday community catch-up. Sorry for the late start today. We've been running around trying to make technology work. Joining me, it is true.
My chair is stuck. There we go. Now I'm free.
You okay?
All is well in the world now.
All is well? My ear.
We're very, very loud.
We're very loud. Super loud, so loud. Sound is terrible, so loud. Okay, hold on a second, guys. As usual, for some reason, the levels on the recording devices get thrown out of whack every single time. Yeah, I don't know why. It gets bumped up to 100 every single time. Okay. Hopefully that's better. Is that better, everybody? Much better? So much better? Okay. All right, well, there we go. Sorry about blowing out your eardrums this morning, folks. So, welcome to the Community Catch-Up. My name is Andy Belford. I'm the Community Manager here at Waystone Games. And joining me today is Alex Gastihetu, our lead player systems designer here at Waystone. And we got a little bit of a kind of a hodgepodge of things that we're going to do today, but easy for me to say. I'm just like, my brain just like decided to stop working right there mid-sentence. It's okay though. But we're going to be talking a little bit about balance later on with Gasti. We saw the introduction of our first, I would say, really true tank character.
I mean, Desecrator and Kel are true tank characters.
That's true.
She's the one who's focused way more on tanking than they are.
Our true super tank character. That's all subjective, I guess. So we did see the introduction of Raina this week, and there was some balance observations by the community, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later. But also, of course, just like we do every Wednesday, we're going to check out the subreddit, which if you haven't subscribed yet, by the way, you should definitely subscribe. And I'm just going to go over here to this. Just don't mind that. And there we go. And there is the Dongate subreddit. That is reddit.com/r/Dongate. If you're not subscribed yet, you should be subscribed. They broke 2,000 a couple of weeks ago and continue to go up. I know you said you had a few threads that you were going to point out, but I just wanted to point something out. The sheer volume of posts on the subreddit has definitely gone up, I would say, in recent weeks. So thank you very much, guys, for being very active there. As always, thank you to Venora and his team for putting all that together for us and being the pros that they are in running the subreddit for our community. We really appreciate all the hard work that they do. So. But go ahead if you have some subreddit threads you would like to point out, sir. I
mean, the subreddit discussion and discussion for the community in the last couple of weeks has really been phenomenal. We read all of the threads basically on Reddit and on our official forums, so it's a really great location to give feedback. The discussions that have been particularly interesting to us are the discussions about the spirit wells that has been going on, the destruction versus rage kind of itemization discussion has been really interesting. There was a really good thread that was up. I believe it was. Might have already fallen off. It is this one. This Dongate is too linear and rigid. It sparked some really, really great discussions about some of the perceived problems of the game right now, which are we agree on some of the points, we disagree on some of the points. There's really, really good discussion there. I'm actually working on something I wanted to do a couple days ago, but I haven't had a chance because I've been super busy. But something I'm going to do real soon, I promise, is have basically a big response to a lot of the comments that have been and discussion points that are in these threads to kind of give you guys an idea of what we at Waystone think of these issues, which ones are we looking to solve, right? How are we looking to solve it? Get your guys' feedback on that. So expect that dialogue to be open some point this week once I get a free moment.
Okay, cool. Right on. So, like we said, there is just tons of conversation happening right now on the subreddit, also in our official forum, so be sure to check that out if you're in the beta as well. We are going to be giving away beta keys today. I believe Pluto is logging in right now. So we're doing it silently in the chat, so as you're in the chat, you may receive a PM in your Twitch inbox. You do have to be following the channel, so please toss the channel a follow to be eligible to win a beta key. So, with that being said, we don't really have a community highlight this week. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to go. Well, I did go searching around for somebody. I didn't have a chance to confirm with other folks that we thought that this was worthy of a highlight. But we will have some more next week for sure. I've actually seen quite a few YouTube videos that I thought were very, very well done. So we'll keep on creating that community highlight. It's a lot of fun. We really like seeing it and really enjoy seeing it. But for now, what I want to do is I want to actually switch over to this really quickly here. Hold on, let me.
Is this gonna work?
I,
This is the exciting
I
moment.
think this will work. I think this will work. We're gonna give you guys a studio tour, and I'm being really high tech and using my phone to do this with. Um, although, let's see here. All right, here we go. Do that, and
We'll see.
then
We'll see. I give it 50% chance. See if it works.
video. Hold on. All right, here we go. And there's a video. Oh, you have the echo. Let me turn that down. All right. And so Gasty is going to be here on channel, on camera while I walk around and do the studio tour. So let's see here. I think that's like that. All right. Switch camera. Fancy. All right, here we go. This will be fun, guys. So for no, we don't want that there. Hold on. Unfortunately. Okay, there we go. Lots of echo. All right, so I'm gonna go ahead and get off the headphones and let you walk around. Or let you navigate while I walk around the studio.
All right.
And you can tell me what people are saying.
Trapped here.
You're trapped. You're trapped. Boxes.
All right. So, this is kind of just give you guys an idea of where the environment that we work in here. It's pretty laid back. You need to move your finger so it's not right in front of the camera.
Is my finger right in front of the? Oh,
sorry. That's better. There we go. So yeah, this area that we're in right now is kind of the center of the production pit / community pit. You can see there's Pluto. Across the hall here is where a lot of our online and quality assurance team lives. So we have people making sure that that's also part of the live balance team is over there. This is another part of our live balance / engineering pit.
We're doing a studio
tour is our delightful.
Don't worry, Dave. I'm not walking over there.
Super production pit. This is where the lead producer and development director hang out, making the game as awesome as possible. This is the design pit. You can see this is where we have our wonderful beanbag, where when we get tired, we can just kind of pass out on the beanbag, communal beanbag. There's Dibs and Mr. Town, doing their stuff, making the video game as delightful as possible. Our map designer, Dale's in the background. There's whiteboards all over the place. Of course, it's a game development area, as you would expect. There's some more whiteboards. This is the gameplay engineering pit here. Miss Flower, Lauren, aka Michaela. They make all of the kind of stuff that you guys interact with directly. So that's delightful. And then,
hold on,
zooming
Mars.
back.
Wait.
You throw me for a loop. Some of our team is actually off-site, so people who are off-site. This is Mars. He works in Austin, Texas, actually, and we're located in California, so a little bit away. He has his own little workstation with it constantly Skyped in, so we can see what's up. Moving on, so that's kind of the design, production, live balance / QA, and engineering area. As we go further this direction, we start getting into art-related endeavors. This is the UI group. UI engineers, UI artists, UI designers. They let you interface with the game. It's an important task. So that's what's going on up there. You can see some of the art on the walls. This is Alice. She has her own little delightful hallway here. UI lead. So there, she has a nice lazy boy behind her that she can act like.
That's not fair. She has her own chair. What the hell?
Of her own little hallway there. These are our animation and visual effect area. They are set up next to art so that they can constantly be getting feedback from the art team on how things look. So animation, VFX. The animation and VFX systems are actually kind of linked in our game, so that's one of the reasons why they're closely located there, which is delightful. And moving on, this is getting further down here is the art pit. So this is where the art director, concept art, 2D art, and level art lives. So you can see with the green hair back in the corner there is Kendra. She's a concept artist. She's designed lots of the characters that you see, like Kendra in the game, for example. She worked on the Parasite, etc. You can see some of her concept art on the Reddit, actually. She posts on there. More character modelers and concept art over here as well. So there's Pat. He's made a lot of the models of most of the characters. And this is our poker table. We try to play poker every Thursday, but people stop coming. Can I clean them out too easily? Gotta pay for my lunch, right? So maybe we can start getting that going again. It's always delightful.
Can we come in your office? Oh, you may want to hide that one. There we go.
We're trying to sneak up on him here. These are our sound booths. They're completely soundproof kind of cubbies where our sound designers live. So here's Caleb, aka Necobus, on the game forums. You can see he has all of these soundproof little black strips on the wall are actually sound-absorbing materials, so he can kind of crank the volume up as loud as he wants in there, have explosions and noises, and we don't hear a thing. He shuts that door, and it's pretty incredibly quiet. So he gets to immerse himself in this experience, which is delightful. And there's a couple of these kind of sound cubbies. The one right next to him there is where Andrea works. But we're not going for it. We're like, I guess we don't care about Andrea's cubby. Ouch.
Don't want to go that far down.
All right. This is the kind of a team meeting area. You can see we have tons of concept art on the wall, which we stand around there and talk about that. We have tons of couches. We use those TVs over there to kind of Skype with other members of the team or do presentations. This is where we'll kind of deliver team-wide infos, big whiteboards over there. Kind of a comfortable area, lots of couches, which is always nice. Good communal area. And that is the primary headquarters here for Waystone Games, is this kind of experience. So that makes up a lot of the core development team.
Okay.
And now he's running on back. We'll see if we can switch it back over to the slightly higher quality camera. Not to diss his phone, but he's booted up, doing Pluto things.
It's pretty terrible, I think, right? Okay. All right.
And
awesome.
Now we're back. So that kind of gives you guys a look at Waystone Games and what our development area is like. It's pretty casual. We kind of set it up to try to be, as friendly with each other as possible. So lots of chairs, lots of whiteboards, lots of communal areas. So. Hi, welcome back.
Oh, there we go. Now I'm unmuted. Whee! Streamception, that's right. Was that, is it a note? No, it's actually not a note. It was it's my new phone.
Some sort of giant long phone.
Giant.
That's not an iPhone. I don't know what that is.
It's not an iPhone. Yes, that's what I actually call this thing. It's not that huge. Like compared to a note, notes are gigantic.
It's pretty huge. It's like the original Xbox controller. I'm just saying. I mean, my pockets would not fit.
Okay. All right. Hopefully you guys enjoyed the little quick look around the studio. It was pretty. I understand it was pretty grainy. The Skype video wasn't.
It was. I wouldn't say it was pristine HD, but you could see what was up.
You could see what was up?
Yeah,
okay.
It was fine.
Well, we probably wanted to obscure some of it, though, just to make sure that it was, anything that might have been sensitive.
The sensitive information filter, make it just too grainy to make it
Well, you do realize that, like, R.L. John or somebody is, like, going to start going through that video, like, frame by frame, and is going to be looking for, like, tidbits. They're going to be, wait a minute, this piece. This piece.
The mobile champion video. Your microphone's a little bit too close to your
Is it a little bit too loud? Okay, there we go.
You're good.
Much better, yes. But yeah, I'm using the Galaxy S4 for those who are asking what kind of phone it is. Try the Sony Xperia Amazing Cam. Now, the camera is really good.
Why isn't the blue siren light on? You're right. It should be on.
That's okay. Andy, I recommend doing a real tour with a real camera. Well, we just put together what we could with the limited technology that we had. Although, it's funny to think of live streaming.
I was impressed with your MacGyvered setup there that you guys have to work. I must say.
Well, thank you.
That was good. I mean, So one day we'll maybe do a higher quality video, but that was just kind of an impromptu to give you guys a look at what's up. So
that is true. Awesome. Well, thank you so much for being the tour guide as I was walking around the studio.
No problem.
I really appreciate it. This isn't 1999 anymore, Andy. Use a real camera. Oh my goodness. Alrighty. So we wanted to, wow, such high.
I would like them to try to find a camera that is that thin in 1999.
I know, right?
I mean,
in 1999. I don't think. Well, you wouldn't even have had a phone with a camera in 1999.
I guess. I mean, maybe like a 0.5 megapixel camera.
No, it wouldn't have even been a phone and a camera in that year. I used to work in telecom, and that was like
that was before the Razor attack.
Yeah. Razor attack was in like '06. I mean, it is amazing to believe.
So long ago.
About how far it's amazing to believe how far we've come with cell phone technology in the last just 10 years.
Yep, they still die after like an hour of use. What's up with that?
That's true. Battery life, Anyways, all right, guys. So, hey, Gasty is here today because we were going to talk really briefly about some of the observations we had from and reflections we had from the community based on balance when it comes to our new shaper, Raina, and just overall, and to give you guys an opportunity to ask balance questions to the guy who does it all. So, let's go ahead and let's start things off by just asking, how do you feel Raina did this weekend, and what are your thoughts on her?
So she was a little strong, just a little bit.
Okay.
It's always a risk with well, there's two things which make balance a little risky. One is when we have no similar archetype to compare them to. So Raina is a tank, but unlike Desecrator and Kel, which are kind of offensive tanks, they focus on pure lockdown. Raina focuses on basically the opposite. She focuses on staying alive as long as possible. So there wasn't a strong parallel of that specific tank subtype to be like, oh, well, we can clearly compare her to this and get an idea. She basically starts the baseline now that we have that going forward. So there was that aspect of her, and then which is similar to like when Kindra came out, right? It's like the first assassin. We didn't have any other baselines, so her balance was also a risk in that way. So she was a little strong, and that is something that we look at very closely. The way that we kind of help to determine that is we have a lot of telemetry data from every single beta event that gets generated for us, which looks at things like win rate across role, broken down by time, broken down by itemization, broken down by CS, tactician harass bonus, etc. So we get a variety of metrics. So even if Raina's win rate is 52% or something reasonable, it's possible that we have the telemetry data to say, oh, well, that's actually not reasonable because she's like 65 on Tactician and 20 on Gladiator, right? They may average out something that, if you just looked at overall win rate, looked reasonable, but when you break it down by role and by more granular details, it still highlights a problem. This particular week was a little tricky because we actually had the MMR reset, so that kind of threw our telemetry data out of whack a little bit because we could no longer rely on the telemetry data coming from balanced matchups. That's actually why you're going to see in the next patch, the balancing is pretty light. We're really only trying to hit clear problem areas that were a problem, which were such a problem that it kind of stood out amongst the MMR reset telemetry data.
Right.
So the balancing will be pretty light coming up. Raina will be getting adjusted. That's spoiler. She was a little strong, but it'll be pretty light. So I would say with the next patch, don't expect necessarily perfect balance because we can only do small tweaks until the MMR gets back to a reasonable position. We're really careful about making changes because while I think it's clear that she is Raina is strong, right? We don't know exactly how strong without very accurate telemetry data. So we're being a little bit conservative with that regard.
And that's a good responsible way to move forward with balancing. So before getting into specifics about some of the abilities of Raina and stuff like that that we're kind of looking at, what was your kind of evaluation or top-down view of the player reaction, what the players were actually saying about Raina?
I think the community reaction was very positive. Obviously she was strong, but she's a super fun shaper. She's one of my favorite tanks to play by far. Her shield mechanic is really, really interesting. I think it is showing kind of what we want to do in the future. I know that I've been on the stream and I've talked about this before, and I know that Dibs has mentioned this as well, where our initial plan was, okay, let's get a solid foundational set of all of the characters. So let's make sure we have, general, standard what you would expect when you see tank or bruiser or carry or assassin. Now that we're starting to have that pretty well flushed out, we can start to experiment with more one-off mechanics and kind of unique idiosyncrasies for shapers. And I think Raina's W mechanic is an example of that, where it's a unique mechanic that we're looking to introduce with the discipline resource to kind of handling stance changes. It's something that is a really, really cool idea I'm a huge fan of, that
Right.
Dibs created. So I'm a
Well,
I think it's very positive.
I think that speaks even more broadly to our desire and our our willingness to actually kind of push the envelope, so to speak, as far as like creativity when it comes to shaper abilities and stuff like that. I mean, if you look at some MOBAs out there, one of the positive things that people say about them is that they have these kind of wacky, crazy abilities that while can be difficult to balance, are just pure fun. I
Right.
mean, and that is really one of the things. It's like you want for these shapers to be fun to play at the end of the day, right?
Yep, yeah, for sure. So I think Raina's a good example of that, where she has a unique mechanic, which is really fun. It came out a little strong, so we're going to make some adjustments, but I think that type of unique mechanic is what the community is really interested in seeing.
Right.
So I'm excited that we're at a point where we can begin to start delivering on that.
Okay, so both of you should move your mics slightly closer. The volume gain is jumping up and down because of the sound detection. Sorry about that, guys. So let's talk about some of those specific abilities that we were talking about. You did mention the shield ability might be just a bit strong right now. In what aspect do you think that that's something we need to look at?
So she, when her shield is effective against a target, when she's facing a target with her shield up, she's basically unkillable, right? She takes very, very little damage.
Mm-hmm.
So we like that dichotomy. We like that if her shield's up, she is a beast to deal with. The problem was previously you were able to keep the shield up basically 100% of the time for a team fight.
Right.
With her discipline generation, she'd be able to keep it up for a really, really long period of time. So we're looking to address that. We're looking to make it equally as impactful, but make it so you have to be a little bit more selective in your uptime. We're trying to make it more of a strategic decision on when you need to drop your shield, regenerate focus, bring it up, block projectiles.
Right.
So we're looking to introduce more kind of reactionary play and more kind of strategic decision making around when you're going to use a W, as opposed to just you put it up when a team fight happens and it's up for the 100% of the duration of the team fight without really worrying about it too much. And we're doing some minor adjustments to some of her throughput as well, where we are looking to basically increase the cooldown of her heal a little bit. Her heal is really, really strong. We don't want to bring it down because we like having really, really impactful abilities. We just want to make it a little bit less frequent. So when it goes off, you still really notice it, but it's not going off quite as often. Like I said, this is kind of a conservative pass on her. It's possible she'll still be strong, but these were the really clear problem areas, even with the MMR reset, making our telemetry data a little bit fuzzy. These areas are still clear problem issues that we can address. So.
Okay. Yeah, guys, we are giving away keys at the moment in chat. Pluto will be sending them to you from the channel, and your PM inbox is silent at the moment, though. That's usually how we do it on Wednesdays. We do a silent key giveaway. So this is actually your opportunity to ask questions to Gasty. So if you have questions about the balance of Dawn Gate, and even about some of the balance of the shapers and stuff like that, please use this opportunity. We're going to be taking questions from the chat. One of the things I did see come up recently, just a few moments ago in the chat, was actually dibs. Mm-hmm. We did recently do a change to dibs as Q.
We did.
What are your thoughts on how that's playing out so far?
So it's interesting, right? Because it's perceived as a buff, and it certainly is a buff.
Oh,
but it actually numerically is sort of a nerf. But that's why we made the change. It's because previously dibs as Q could stack 3 times, and the initial values, or basically what we did was we took the value for 1.5 stacks is now his value.
Okay.
So it used to be able to stack up to 3 times, so it used to be able to be twice as good as it is now. But people mostly just didn't realize that was a thing, and when it did occur, it was super surprising. What would happen is dibs would stack 3 Qs on you. You wouldn't really notice it. Volek would come out, proc the 3 Qs, do like 6 billion damage, and people would be like, Volek, why are you so strong? Like, people weren't contributing that power to dibs. It was very, very invisible power, and the rate people were able to actually land 3 Qs was really, really low. So we basically normalized that ability a little bit. It only stacks once, so it's more consistent for both the user and the opponent. Like when you see Dibs' Q on you and then it blows up, the damage is consistent. It's not like it was before where you would see Dibs' Q, it would blow up. Sometimes it'd be weak, sometimes it'd be astronomically impactful.
Right.
So that was kind of the reason behind Dibs. We were like, hey, this isn't really a balanced reason. We're not doing this for any balancing reason. We're doing it for a kit feel reason. Like it was not reliable for Dibs as the user or fighting against Dibs. Now players can interface with that mechanic more more easily, and they'll be able to get more consistent returns from it. So.
Okay, cool. I do know that we've had people who are. I think we've seen Dibs played a decent amount more recently, and we've also seen people just like extolling the virtues of like a Dibs Nissa lane, or basically Dibs in any range.
It's a good lore. It's a good lore matchup. I like that one.
That is actually a good lore matchup. They are from the same area. So, so I saw a question about Kendra. Somebody said that he played our game for the first time this last weekend, and he tried Kendra out. Did really well, but he was told previously that she's terrible. He's like, what are our current views on Kendra and how she's doing, in the lineup?
She's certainly not terrible. She is borderline strong. I would say that she's relatively stable. The way that we handle live balance, basically we have a live balance team, which handles it, which is led by Buell and myself. And the way that we handle it is basically we sort people into categories which are either stable, which is like where they're roughly in line with our target, not out of line enough that we're making significant changes to them. Mm-hmm. Strong or weak, which indicates we need to make changes to address them. They're either strong or weak. And on watch, which basically says we're taking a look at what needs to happen here, right? Are they weak? Are they strong? We're not sure yet. It needs more evaluation. So Kendra is an interesting place where she was stable except for her predator role, which was a little strong. But that wasn't isolated to just Kendra. We actually had a very, very clear trend of Predator being strong across the board.
Right.
They were, like Kendra, for example, had about 50% win rates in all of her roles, except for Predator, which had about a 55, 56% win rate. And that was not isolated to just Kendra. That trend of pretty balanced across the board, except for Predator, which was a few percentage above what we would want it to be,
right,
was consistent across Cerulean, Kel, Kendra, the AD carries, Freya, etc. So that's the result of this Predator change happened in the previous patch, was we were saying, hey, Predators are basically, they're snowballing ahead, and then they're able to turn that advantage into even getting further ahead because there was no diminishing returns. We're just continuing to kill the guy who was 0 and 6, right? Normally you get like 20 Vim for him. Not if you're Predator. If you're Predator, you get completely full returns.
Right.
So that kind of resulted in the previous patch's Predator changes, and after that...
Which, if you could review with us really quickly for the folks at home.
The previous Predator used to work by giving you a flat amount of Vim on kills and assists. So you got a kill, you got an assist, you would get 100 Vim. So if somebody was 0 and 6, normally they would give you 20 Vim, and you killed them as Predator, you get 120 Vim still. Now it increases the percentage of that bounty by a percentage instead of a flat amount. So you get an additional 35%. So if you kill somebody who normally is worth 300 Vim, you get 405 now. So it's still that plus 100 you would normally get, just like Predator used to get. But if you kill somebody who is 0 and 7, you're going to get a lot less than you did before. The flip side is, if you kill somebody who's 7 and 0, you're going to get a lot more than you did before.
Right.
So
that does basically kind of control a little bit of the snowballing nature of the Predator role, which, the Predator is kind of made for those, to support a little bit of snowball, right?
Yeah, for sure. The role is intended to be a risk-reward early game where you can snowball out of control, or you can fall a little bit behind.
Okay. With the addition of the shield mechanic, what new mechanic ideas do you have in mind?
We don't want to talk about those two yet. They're a little. It's a little bit of a spoiler. Dibs has a lot of really cool things. So does Bex, another one of our Shaper designers. We have some interesting mechanics in store for you guys, but we're not ready to reveal those just yet.
Would anything have to do with Meepo?
I want multi-unit control characters. I love Meepo. I want to do all sorts of multi-unit control stuff, but that's a little bit further out because it requires significant tech. So.
Yep, I think that's a fair assessment. I will admit I've been playing some of those micro heroes in Dota lately, and I can see where they'd be fun.
Yeah, I'm a huge StarCraft fan, so I love micro and multi-unit control. So
yeah,
it's not for everybody, but that's what's great about the MOBA genre is that we can create shapers for very specific playstyles. So
that's right. Mappo best Doto. Okay. What roles are the heroes? Okay, so we have a role system within our game, which kind of helps define how you gain revenue and income in the game. And then the shapers can actually fill any of the roles. Some are more effective than others, are obviously at certain roles, but you can pretty much play whichever shaper in whatever role you want to. It's kind of the gist behind it, is to give you more flexibility with how you want to play the different characters. How do you feel about implementing, I think is what he means to say. How do you feel about implementing couriers?
So we don't want to implement couriers because the game is balanced around actually having you not be generating any Vim while you're spending it, basically. We want there to be a clear, it's a natural counterbalance. If somebody is ahead, they're probably going to have more money. And then when they go to spend that money, it allows the person who's behind a chance to actually free farm a little bit and get back ahead. The courier mechanic, it makes a lot of sense in Dota and Han and the games that have it, because their economy is tuned a little bit differently than ours. Ours is an intentional counterbalance that there's that period of vulnerability when you go back to buy.
How do you feel about the overall snowball in the game, including Predator and I think he means Gladiator, over Hunter and so on?
I think that, and this is one of the things that I'm going to talk about when I make a large discussion thread responding to some of the discussions that have been happening on the forums and Reddit, but I think that we agree that the game is a little bit too snowbally right now, and we're looking to do some things to mitigate that. I mean, some of the things that you can see that are causing that are like people are able to get destruction at about 6.5 minutes into the game. That's really, really, really early. Like, look at the primary DPS items for carries in some of the other games, and look at when you're getting them in the other games, and it's not at 6.5 minutes into the game, right? So I don't think that it's necessarily a problem with any specific character or with any specific item. I think that it's a problem with how quickly you can get some of those items. So like the min-max potential of Gladiator and Predator are certainly issues right now. We're looking to adjust some of the way that the game's economy works to try to address some of that snowballing. There's obviously some other elements that I'll go into more detail in a post about, but yeah, the TLDR, we agree the game's a little bit too snowbally, and we're looking to do some things to mitigate it.
Okay, awesome. Speaking of game economy, somebody did ask a question. Does having all 4 Spirit Wells kind of make for a runaway team, so to speak?
It's really good. I mean, to put it into a kind of law metric comparison, having all 3 Spirit Wells is basically equivalent to automatically killing Dragon every 3 minutes.
Wow.
Right, so it is really, really powerful. It gives you, because and this is one of the problems with Spirit Wells. There was that great discussion on Spirit Wells on Reddit, people feeling like they're not impactful enough. They don't feel impactful, right? They don't feel viscerally impactful, but even though you know they're impactful, because it's really hard to notice their effect, because they are distributed across three tiers of basically hard to feelness, which is the rate of gain is distributed over time, the gain is distributed over time, and then that is distributed across 4 Spirit Wells. So if you control 1 Spirit Well that just had its workers wiped out, you're like, I'm not getting anything from this, right? You control all 4, it's actually very, very impactful. That's one of the things that we're looking to. We're looking into the Spirit Wells, right, in ways to try to make them feel more viscerally noticeable, but they actually are still very, very powerful.
Okay. So. And you can do that through a lot of different things like visual cues and stuff like that. It doesn't have to necessarily be hugely game impacting balance too, right?
Right. Yeah.
So, and yeah, he did mean all 4, right?
Right. If you have all 4 Spirit Wells,
it's equivalent to a dragon once every 3 minutes.
Right.
Okay. So, just so you guys are aware, not 3. And let's not go spreading that message out there on the.
Can control all 4 Spirit Wells, and every 3 minutes after that point is basically auto killing a dragon.
Yep. Are we going to play some games? No, we're not doing gameplay today. We will do gameplay tomorrow for our developer live stream. That's usually when we do gameplay. And then, of course, we'll be doing gameplay this Friday when we go live for our closed beta event. So, are there any plans for teleport-ish spells?
We're experimenting with some internally. We are looking at a variety of kind of additional mobility and kind of strategic options around that. So it's something that we're experimenting with.
Okay, very cool. Next shaper, male or female? Not going to tell you yet. Nick Cooley is asking, this is my meta. Well, actually, I'm going to rephrase it a little bit. Is this a good meta strategy? And this is kind of, I guess, subjective to your team and everything else like that. But your thoughts on this, though. 2 junglers, one with a normal jungler and an off jungler. The off jungler denying Spirit Wells and farm. The normal jungler does ganks and farm. A tank in a solo lane, and then a support and a mage on bot. Is this is this a good strategy? So this is a question from somebody in the.
Yeah, I mean, the two junglers, solo lane and duo lane, is a totally viable meta. We see it a lot with organized teams. It's a little bit more difficult to pull off in solo queue, which is why you see it less often just in random solo queue. But in organized fives, we see that meta quite often. With that specific one, it's a little risky without a carry, without a ranged carry or melee carry. You're really kind of playing the we need to end the game early card.
Right.
But that high level composition seems totally fine. We've seen it work. So
you could, I mean, I guess you could have one of like your off junglers or something like that be like a Freya, and supposing they were like a predator and they were harassing the lanes really well and harassing the lanes and the spirit wells really well and farming really well, they could get into that carry status, I think.
Yep, it's possible for sure.
And do well. So, what organized team would do that? Well, lots. I mean, we see tons of team comps. I know that some of the early tournaments, people were running tri-lane strategies, and they were winning. I mean, they were winning quite handily too. So, team communication is always, a huge factor in competitive gameplay. And Dawngate's no exception to that rule. I mean, communication is always super key. And that's one of the reasons why we will be putting tools in game for you to more easily communicate with your team as time goes by. So, question: what's your opinion on the Guardian currently? Is he too weak or too strong?
I think that the Guardian makes turtling early too effective. Games are really, really difficult to end before like 20 minutes right now. Mm-hmm. There is certainly a issue with ending games and the effectiveness of turtling. It's a careful balance between making sure that comebacks are always possible with making sure that a team who should just win the game can win the game instead of having it drawn out in this awkward way. So we are looking to make a few slight adjustments to the Guardian. We're experimenting with some internally to try to address that issue. Generally, I think he's fine, especially like mid-game and beyond. I think his power curve's just right. I think that it is, however, a little bit too hard to kill early. And then in the super late game, he can make, even though I think his power curve is spot on, I think he can make turtling a little too effective. So.
AD1B, the Guardian has a 50% win rate. He's perfectly fine.
That is true.
That is true. It is exactly 50%. He is the most balanced thing in the game. What are you talking about? Lusenhart. Oh, these light green names are killing me. I've been playing League for 3 years, and the difficulty is the balance between characters. How will we try to avoid this kind of a problem? I mean,
it's
character balance is a constantly evolving thing, right?
Yeah, character balance is always tricky. I mean, we have a full team dedicated to the life balance of the game, basically, and we're constantly looking to make sure it's as good as possible. It's going to be rougher in these early beta phase. I mean, look at the closed early beta of any competitive game, and like looking back, right? It's like, oh, haha, remember that wacky time when X was like this?
Yeah.
And that's true for any competitive game that I can imagine, right? StarCraft, League, Dota, even like Counter-Strike, right? It's like there's always those periods where.
What are you talking about? Bunny hopping, no scope, deagle op.
Right. Right. So I mean, we're gonna have our player base is gonna find those kind of really, really effective strategies that we didn't intend or expect. So it's a balance between making sure that we address things quickly enough to make the game healthy, because in this early beta stages, we're going to have some more egregious imbalance than you would see in like a 4-year out super polished product. But we also want to make sure that we do it slowly enough to allow the community time to develop emergent counters, right? We don't want to change things too quickly. So.
Why did you make it so we still get you still get Vim even if you don't last hand a minion?
So it's for a couple reasons. We wanted to make the role agnostic portions of the game, just the systemic, like ignoring your role, as accessible and as versatile as possible to allow for lots of different meta compositions and team configurations. So we didn't want to make it so you didn't get anything, to allow for the possibility of things like tri-lane, right? To give a mechanic that things like Tactician can interface with. We can be like, oh, we can increase that amount for Tactician, allows for viable tri-lanes, allows for supports to be able to get enough money to have a lot of throughput, and it also makes it so that we can add additional bonuses on things like Gladiator to still support those. Like, all I care about is nailing the last hitting, right? Basically, it just gave us the tools to adjust up and down with the roll system to support a vast majority of playstyles.
Speaking of farming, I've been watching YouTube videos on Dongate, and it feels like farming is actually too easy, in my opinion. It looks like auto attacks are doing too much damage on minion and creeps. Is this something that we did purposely, or is it something that's just happened? I mean, I don't know that I would say that it's too friendly. I mean, I've played many other MOBAs, and personally, like my personal feeling is that it compares. Like, it feels like League, it feels like Dota, it feels like, I mean, obviously each of them have their own idiosyncrasies.
I mean, it's certainly easier than Dota because Dota's attack times are much longer. Ours are much snappier. Yeah. Now, however, what's something to keep in mind, and this is difficult to get just from watching a video, but something to keep in mind is that while if you look at a vacuum, right, if you had a single creep and one of our characters, and you were like, let's hit this creep, it would be easier than a game like Dota and equivalent to a game like League. The reason why I don't think I would not say, however, farming is easier because in Dota, for example, you don't have people constantly spamming abilities on you, right? You use an ability and like half your mana bar's gone sometimes, and then that's it, right? You're gonna use 1 or 2 abilities per lane phase.
Right.
In Dongate, people are throwing abilities at you all the time. So while last hitting in a vacuum is a little bit easier, you have to balance that with the fact that you're getting pushed back by much stronger and more common harass. So balancing it with that, even though farming in a vacuum is easier, farming in a vacuum, you're not farming in a vacuum, right? You're farming against characters that are able to push back and harass on you far more frequently. So the overall aspect of farming is as competitive and difficult as some of the other experiences, with that in mind.
Oh, wow. We have about 600 viewers. I'll tell you what, guys. At the end of the hour, I'll go ahead and toss a 200 juice multi-use key out there.
Nice.
Woohoo! But you guys all have to
got to make that internet happy.
You got to make the internet happy. You guys all have to promise to hang out though and play in the game on this Friday.
That's right.
You got to play the game. That's the deal. That's the deal. Let's see here. You're encouraged to push lanes because towers can respond. The bindings do respond. That is true. Let's see here. We had some more questions in here. Produx, why should I play your game over Dota 2? Why would you play any game over another game? I mean, honestly, why can't you play both? And that is really the true and honest answer and approach that we've taken here internally, is that we don't play any game exclusively, especially within the MOBA genre. Anybody on this team. I've been playing League since beta. I know a lot of people have been playing League. Some people here worked on League. I've been playing an awful lot of Dota 2 lately. We were all, a lot of us were watching the International, getting really into it. I play Smite a good amount of the time. I know other people here have played Han quite a bit. I mean, and we all play Dongate. I mean, obviously, we work on Dongate. Dongate's our favorite of these games. But, we don't play any one game in a vacuum. And, if we did that, we would be losing out, I think, as gamers, not just as professionals, but also as gamers. So, don't feel like you have to play any one game to exclusivity. I think that one thing that you can take away, though, is that why would you play Dongate? And the answer should be because it's fun. If it's fun, then you would play it. If it's not fun, then you won't play it. No hard feelings. The game is not going to be for everybody. We recognize that. We realize that. We certainly hope that you enjoy playing the game, and we hope that you care enough to give us your feedback if you find things that are kind of like irritation points for you. But we don't expect it's going to be for everybody. So please, don't think that we're trying to say play Dongate and Dongate only. So, let's see here. Will you open the phone like Battle? I don't get it. Okay. Will there be a Dongate version of LoL Recorder or maybe a built-in version? I know that, I think these days that players are going to come to expect things like a replay functionality to be like a standard feature within the MOBA. You look at the Dota 2 client, and there's a lot of great functionality in there. There's going to be a lot of things that people are going to be like, yeah, this should be in a MOBA. What's your thoughts on that? Yeah,
I mean, those are systems that we will absolutely be introducing down the line. I mean, we're in a very early closed beta, so they're not going to be coming like tomorrow, right? But they will be. They are things that we certainly want to implement. We just have to balance the priority of when. It's not an if, it's a matter of when, and the when is based on a priority of core features that are core to the actual gameplay itself, we're prioritizing higher right now than some of the more meta-level features that take place outside of the game, such as spectator and replays. But those are features that are super important to us because we all love competitive games, and we want to foster a competitive community, and we'll absolutely be introducing those at some point.
Okay. Will in-game voice chat ever be possible? It's not something that's on the docket right now. I mean, we've gone back and forth on that, especially during the early development. But I believe at this point we are satisfied with the options that are available to you through the community. And personally, as a community manager, I think that, hold on. That was lovely. I think that, these things like TeamSpeak servers, Mumble servers, Raid Call, whatever, what have you, are just additional opportunities to build community. So, take advantage of these community opportunities. There are people who are posting, even this morning in the subreddit about, a Mumble server, the Bearded Gamer, or the Bearded Gamer, just is hosting one out of his own pocket, out of the goodness of his heart. So, take advantage of these things that are out there for you guys. And, as always, we encourage you all to be very respectful to each other, too. So, are we planning on introducing or adding more advanced pings? Like a ping system, a smart ping system.
Yeah, I mean, you may have seen that we had new ping art in the previous patch. That was kind of a hidden feature of the latest patch, and that is in preparation for some more advanced pings. So
cool, right on. More to come on that, and trust me, guys. When we introduce that feature, you guys will be the first to see it, probably here on the stream before it's even live, to be honest with you. That's usually how it goes. Is the name of the company Waystone, or Waste One? What? Waystone. Not Waystoned, though. Let's see here. We're going to do a couple more questions, guys, and then I'll do the 200 use key. Why did you make it so you could only have one ward? Is this due to any mechanical limitation, or was it intentional, and why?
It was intentional. We wanted to remove the kind of the emergent strategy that was being developed elsewhere in the MOBA scene, where basically one or two people will be dedicated as the ward individual, where they would have all the pressure. Basically, you don't get to have fun. All you get to do is buy wards and deal with the warding division gameplay. That is something that we wanted the entire team to be responsible for. We wanted to distribute that responsibility to the entire team and not have a single individual be the one who got all the blame and all the pressure for dealing with that vision gameplay.
Okay. Excuse me. Is Dawngate more like League or Dota in the sense, easy to learn, hard to master, or hard to learn, harder to master? I believe we said before that one of our design goals is for the game to be easy to learn, hard to master. When you're drawing similarities, I think that people, and I've had this comparison drawn for me more than a few times recently, is that they feel like Dawngate is kind of in between a League and a Dota. Like, it's not quite one or the other, it's its own thing, and that's really the message we're trying to push across.
Yeah, for sure. I think that one of the things that people often take to be synonyms is depth and complexity, and they're really not. Complexity is always a cost for depth. It should never be the goal, right? Depth is the goal. You want lots of meaningful decisions at very regular intervals that can change the outcome of the game. That's depth, right? If you can do that with the least amount of complexity as possible, it's only a good thing. So that was one of our goals, right? Is a lot of depth with trying to make it not ultra confusing, right? So yeah, easy to learn, hard to master is certainly our goal. With the number one mandate for us being make a deep competitive game, right? That was the number one goal, is always to make something very, very interesting, where it was as deep and complex, right? I use that word carefully, as some of the other games that you may expect.
Right. Are there any pro teams playing the game? Yeah, there's lots of pro players who are playing the game right now, guys. Mostly from the League scene at the moment. We're not going to out like any of them, because I know a lot of them are under contract for LCS and stuff like that. But we have, I would say, in addition to the very wide skill range of MOBA passionate testers that we also have quite a few pro players who are checking the game out, and some of you guys probably have seen them in game. Well, actually, I can say a couple of names because I know they're not in LCS right now. But like Nick Wu and Claykey, his brother, have been playing. We've seen Atomic, we've seen Zakant, we've seen a bunch of guys playing the game. So and heck, even some non-pro, more well-known people like Guardsman Bob and whatnot have been playing the game too. So it's not because we're not paying these people or anything like that. It's just more of a they see a fun game and they want to try it out, and if they come back, then awesome. That's great. So lots of fun. Yeah, Paperbat, Dion. Shout out to Dion. We see Paperbat playing, streaming the game quite frequently. Actually, it's really cool. We'll do one more question. Two more questions. I wanted to address the question about the EU server that we saw pop up. We do get this question frequently, but just so that you guys know, we do know that there is a need and or a desire for a European server so that the pings are a little bit lower. Now, anecdotally, I can say that we hear from European players that pings are anywhere from 100 to 150, and that it's much more playable than they thought it would be originally, which is awesome. But that being said, we know that a European server is something that should be, that we will need to do down the road. At this point in time, there are two things, and a myriad of things, but two things that I want to point out that, would prevent us from doing that just right yet. One of them would be, the beta population is actually still pretty small. While I'm not going to give an actual number, you do need a confluence of population in order to properly support a player versus player game. Every game is 10 people, and you have hundreds of games firing off at once, so you need a lot of people to play in the game. If we were to segregate into EU and NA, that might not be a great player experience. The other thing is that we just simply don't have the people in place to help support that kind of a system yet. We need to get to that point. We're not going to try and grow too fast, though. We are growing, but we're growing responsibly, and we're growing gradually. We're kind of in this whole making the online game thing for the long haul, guys. So while I do understand that there's people who really want to get that lower ping and play on a EU specific server, right now we have to do what's best for the long term health of the game and frankly of our community too. So. But thank you very much. We're very humbled by all of the request and desire for not just an EU server, but also Oceanic and Asia, and even South American, like from all the Brazilian players who are playing right now. Thank you very much from the bottom of our heart. We're really very humbled by that, and very, very gracious of you all to be so excited to play Dawn Gate. So, and one last question: why isn't the blue light on? That's not the last question. This is a good question to kind of close it out on. The spell system in game, we got lots of different spells, and we're not showing any signs of slowing down on that. We just added the spell blitz. We've got more in the pipe, so to speak. Lots more in the pipe, actually. How are we planning on making a lot of unique spells to enhance the spellbook system, but keeping it balanced at the same time?
I mean, it's really kind of the same philosophy as with shapers, right? I mean, we're going to be continuously introducing shapers and keeping that balanced via telemetry and constant balance and constant kind of adjustments. And the same is true with the spell system, right? I think that because we're introducing them at a relatively regular cadence, and we only introduce usually one at a time, it allows us to, similar to shapers, make pretty careful adjustments and minor adjustments, try to keep them all at that, appropriate 50% win rate ratio. I mean, I've acted in I remember, and some of these discussions are still happening, but I remember a while back there was a big discussion in the forum about Blink, right? And there was discussion on should Blink be in the game or not, and is it going to devolve into everybody takes Blink all the time, 100% of the time, similar to kind of how people take Flash a lot in League of Legends. And I think that we're already starting to see that not really be a concern anymore. In fact, in our internal playtests, Blink is one of the more rarely taken spells. In the last couple playtests, I think there was not a single Blink out of the the 30 spells in the game. We had no Blinks, right? That's pretty consistent in our internal games at this point. So I think that it's certainly something that is to be done carefully because they are extremely powerful, but it's not. I don't think it's a impossible task. I think that similar to shapers, we can simply balance them on a one-by-one individual case as we introduce them.
Okay, cool. All right, guys. Well, thank you very much, Gasty, for answering all those questions. You want to stick around while I give this key away?
Sure.
All right, guys, and then we're going to run off to lunch. So, all right, I'm going to put this key up here. Hopefully you've gone to waystonegames.com and created your account. And let's give you guys away a 200 use beta key.
Yep.
Did we tweet out that we're giving away a 200 use key on the stream or anything? Oh, you didn't hear us say that earlier?
We're doing it. It's happening.
We were up to 600 viewers earlier, or 700 almost actually. So, yeah. Go ahead and tweet out, let people know, so that we have that, and then we're gonna run off to lunch with some folks. So here we go, guys.
Yep, use this key. Come play in the beta this Friday and Saturday.
Yeah.
Give us your thoughts and feedback. I know a lot of we read and take the community suggestions to heart. A lot of the changes that have already occurred in the game, even in the very short closed beta period, have been directly from community suggestions, like predators gaining enhanced vim on worker kills and stuff. That's an example of a just direct suggestion from the community that we were like, hey, that's awesome. Let's put that into the game. Let's try it out. So you guys have a chance to really impact the game. Because it's a very early game, and we're trying to be very open with the community. We think that you guys have great ideas, so let us know what they are. Post on Reddit, post on the forums. We'll read them, we'll respond, and sometimes they'll even get into the game. So come help us make this game as good as it can be.
9 a.m. PDT is when the servers come online, guys. That's 9 a.m. We're in a pretty steady cadence of 9 a.m. to midnight Friday and Saturday. Probably going to stay there for a while, to be very honest with you. We're getting a lot of great data points, and we want to keep doing that. And getting this information, so this stability is definitely helping us out. We do send out keys on a weekly basis, just so that you guys know, via email, so check your email box. And then also be sure to tune into the live stream here. We give them out on a pretty regular basis here on the live stream too. So always many opportunities to pick up beta keys for Dawngate, especially if you tune into the live stream. But what I will say though is that, make sure that you register for the beta. That is the only guaranteed way to get an invite. Eventually, if you are a MOBA passionate player, you're somebody who's got a lot of experience in MOBAs, make sure that you indicate that in the survey you take when you sign up for the beta. But be honest about that, guys. If you're not like very experienced with MOBAs, you may not have a great time in the beta because we don't have a lot of those kind of new user experience stuff in place yet. That's all stuff that will come later during the development of the game. So.
Yep. And when you are in the beta, remember to take the survey that's in the client.
That's right.
Take that every single beta event. Just taking it resets every week. We take feedback from it every single week. That survey is what helps us and lets us continue to make the game that we want to make with you guys. So please take that survey. Let us know what you think. It's super important to us. So.
Okay, guys. Give it a couple more minutes, and then I'm going to turn it off.
It's true.
And by the way, what Gasty was saying about the survey, we can't emphasize that enough. That survey we're taking data from that survey, and we're using that to prove our business case, our development case, I should say, to the executive team here at Electronic Arts. We are saying, look, this is what people are saying about what we're doing. Let us keep doing things the way that we're doing this in this open environment, this collaborative environment with the community, at frankly, a very early stage of the game, so to speak. So yes, it's waystonegames.com. So yeah, I guess Zambot didn't like what that guy just said.
Zambot destroyed him with a vengeance.
He destroyed him with a vengeance. It's like I'm guessing it must have been vulgarities in a different language or something. Zambot's good like that. I'm Turkey when you open the server for me. In Turkey, I would say, Turkey is an emergent market, actually. So I know that other games are opening servers specifically for Turkey, and I'm guessing that eventually down the road, if there's enough demand, we will get to that point. Just not there yet. So
in the meantime, we will open servers for you at 9 a.m. PST this weekend.
Yeah, that's right. PDT. PST is not for another couple months.
What?
PDT.
There's a difference? I thought it was just like some people,
you could say
tomato.
You could say Pacific. But
the West Coast time zone, the real time zone, the number one time zone. That's right.
West Coast. There we go. Would you like to get very specific, like the area between the Whipple exit and San Francisco time zone? Because anything outside of that doesn't actually exist to you.
That's right. Plus or minus 2 exits. That's all I got.
It's right. I don't think that turkeys can play mobile games. Oh, funny guy. Let's see here. Swartzby, I can't really write right now. Sorry. Are we hiring artists? Actually, yeah, we are looking for concept artists right now. We have a contract concept artist position open right now. You should be able to find that somewhere. Hi guys, I'm an 18-year-old girl. I love to play games like Dawngate and want to talk about it on Dawngate. Hi, I'm a 36-year-old guy and I like to work on games. Thank you for sharing your age and gender. I'm glad that you like to play games like Dawngate, and hopefully you get a chance to play the game. There's a beta key up there, so yeah. Blue Mizzy, CG Environment Supervisor at Nickelodeon. Oh, awesome. Right on. Waystone Dips, I'm a 12-year-old boy, and what is this?
It's Waystone's a secret group of Mass Effect fan group. We are big Mass Effect fans. In fact, Chris, our writer, who writes some of the incredible fiction that we've been putting out regularly through Shaper, was a writer for Mass Effect 2. Wrote a lot of the Mass Effect 2 characters that you probably know and love. So
Legion and my names are like completely blanking on me right now. But I know he wrote Legion. But yes, but on the other hand, yes, I am a big Mass Effect fan as well. A lot of people are big Mass Effect fans. Crow's Death Wish. Do we get anything for playing beta? Yes, the satisfaction of knowing that you helped to shape the future of Dawngate. Mm-hmm. And something that we'll figure out later. But yeah, guys, I mean, we definitely are appreciative of people playing in the beta, and we will find a way to show our appreciation for that, but like we don't have anything set in stone as to what that's going to be. Legion and Thane. Thank you, Dips. I don't know why Thane was like blanking in my head, so...
There's all sorts of hidden Mass Effect treats with the character dialogues with each other.
Flirt enough with Raina and maybe you'll get a Mass Effect treat? What?
Yeah, there's all sorts of Mass Effect lines and
I did not... Oh, okay.
Hidden treats.
Okay, alright, I'm going to have to check that out. Is there a minimum age requirement to join the closed beta? I believe technically you have to be, I want to say 16 or 18 or older. That's whatever the age says in the beta agreement. So, but yeah. So, seriously, no beta icon. Dude, we don't have anything figured out yet. Like, there's nothing yet for beta. Yeah. Nothing figured out. It is in the FAQ. Thank you, Pluto, for pointing that out. All right, guys. Well, I'm going to go ahead and we're going to call it a stream here. Hopefully, folks got this beta key and got a chance to register for an account. But otherwise, thank you very much, Dis, for popping by and answering all these questions. We really enjoyed these times, these potpourri question answer Q&A time. So hopefully, you guys got a lot out of today. Be sure to tune in tomorrow, 1:30 p.m. Pacific, for the developer playtest with Pluto and whomever he drags onto the stream with him. And as always, be sure to follow our channel here on Twitch. Like us on Facebook, facebook.com/thedawngate. And, of course, follow us on Twitter, twitter.com, just at the Dawngate on Twitter. So thank you so much, guys. We really appreciate it. And we will see you all next time. Bye-bye.
Goodbye.